Just hours before it happened, he posted a picture with his daughter, smiling, captioned it like a proud father, said he took her on a little one-on-one date, called it a good time. By the time the sun came up over Shreveport, Louisiana, 8 of his children were dead. Not strangers, not kids he barely knew, his own children. And the woman he married, she was shot in the face. Let me tell you something. This is the kind of story that stops you mid-scroll because you keep thinking. There has to be a mistake. There has to be something missing. 8 kids do not just die like that. Not on a Sunday morning. Not in the same neighborhood where they grew up. Not by the hands of the man who was supposed to be their father. But this is exactly what happened. And before this video is over, you are going to understand every single piece of how it got there. This is the story of Shamar Elkins and Shaniqua Elkins, and the 10 people whose lives were changed forever on one morning in Shreveport. This is Drifting Truth Channel. Hit the subscribe button, like and share if the story moves you. Shaniqua was, by every account, a woman who loved her life and loved her family out loud. She was the kind of person who didn't keep her joy private. She shared it, posted about it. Let the world see what she was building. When she and Shamar got married, she went online and said exactly how she felt. Her words were simple and straight from the heart. We finally got married. I got married on my birthday. Girl, she married this man on her birthday, like that was supposed to be the beginning of something beautiful. Her love story, wrapped up with the day she came into the world. She was not just happy, she was full. A year later, she posted again. Happy first anniversary to us. I thank you for everything that you did for me today. I enjoyed every moment of it. Shamar Elkins, 10 long years and 4 beautiful girls. What a time we had. 10 years, 4 girls, 1 anniversary. And from the outside, it looked like everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. And Shamar? He played the role too. He posted Easter photos with the kids after taking them to church. All of them together, dressed up, smiling. He wrote about it like a man grateful for his family. People saw those posts and thought, okay, this is a good father. This is a family man. Anyways, the image he put out to the world and the reality inside that home were not the same thing. Not even close. Because behind the family photos and the anniversary posts, Shamar was fighting something that was eating him alive. He had gotten deep into crack cocaine. And when you mix a man who is already struggling emotionally with a substance that strips away whatever is left of his judgment, you get someone who is no longer fully present in his own life. He was in and out, functional some days, gone on others. The relationship started showing the cracks that were always there. Arguments became a regular thing. Tension had moved into the house like it paid rent. What had been a decade-long relationship was now a situation, and Shaniqua was trying to find her way through it. Moving on, because this is where things got real. Shaniqua made a decision. She asked for a divorce. Now, for a lot of people, that word divorce is painful. It is the end of something. And for a man already unraveling, already using, already struggling to keep his grip on reality, that word hit different. Shamar did not take it well. Not at all. Reports say the tension between them had been building over time. The ongoing arguments, the separation, the sense that the life they had built together was coming apart in ways that couldn't be fixed. Shaniqua was trying to move forward. She was trying to protect herself and keep things going for her kids. But Shamar was not in a place where he could accept that. Make it make sense. Here is a man who posted about his kids like they were his greatest blessing, who showed up to church on Easter Sunday, who told the internet he was grateful, and he could not find one reason to let this woman go in peace. Not one. The morning everything fell apart, there had been no massive public warning, no headline, no police report from the night before that screamed this was coming. Like, the hours leading up to it were almost quiet. Shamar had even gone out with one of his daughters that day, posted about it, wrote that he took his oldest on a little one-on-one, described it like a regular dad moment. That was the last good thing he did. Because what came after that, nobody who loved him, nobody who knew him, nobody who saw those Easter photos or read those anniversary captions, was ready for. It was early Sunday morning. Most of Shreveport was still asleep. The kind of quiet that only exists before the city wakes up. Birds, maybe a passing car, the hum of a neighborhood that does not yet know what is about to happen inside it. Shaniqua and the children were home. And so was Shamar. Whatever was said between them that morning, whatever argument, whatever confrontation, it escalated fast. Police say Shamar and Shaniqua got into it. And in the middle of that confrontation, he pulled out a gun and shot her. In the face. Let that sit for a second. This is the woman who posted about marrying him on her birthday. The woman who wrote what a time we had after 10 years together. He looked at her, sullen, and shot her in the face. Somehow, and this part is nothing short of a miracle, Shaniqua survived that shot. She was critically injured, but she was alive. And for a moment you might think, okay, maybe it stopped there. Maybe that was the worst of it. It was not the worst of it. Because Shamar did not stop. He kept going. According to authorities, after shooting Shaniqua, he turned his attention to the children. He moved through the homes, not one location, multiple, targeting kids who, by all accounts, were still asleep when he came for them. These were not children who had time to run or hide or understand what was happening. They were sleeping in their beds, in the places where children are supposed to be the most safe. Oh, so now, a man who just days before was posting about Easter Sunday at church, about taking his daughter on a daddy-daughter date, was walking through bedrooms with a gun. Make it make sense. The ages of the children ranged from 1-year-old to 14 years old.
More violence.
The gray house is the house in which 7 children were located inside that were deceased. There was an additional deceased child that looked like he had tried to escape the residence out the back on the roof.
Officers say a second woman was shot and is believed to be the mother of the suspect's children. Both women are now in the hospital in critical condition. Officers fired at the
year old. These were babies, toddlers, kids who had just started school, kids who were barely old enough to have a memory, and they were gone. All of them gone. Within minutes of each other in the same neighborhood, at the hands of the same man. 8 children were killed that morning. 7 of them were his own. There was also another woman inside the residence, believed to be a girlfriend, who was shot and left with life-threatening injuries. So in the span of one morning, Shamar Elkins had shot 10 people. His wife, another woman, and 8 children, 7 of whom carried his blood. Now here is the detail that will
This is entirely a domestic.
Long after this video ends. In the middle of all of that chaos, in the middle of gunshots and screaming and everything falling apart, one child made it to the roof. A child climbed out onto the roof of the house, trying to get away. Not a teenager, a child, clinging to the outside of a building because the inside was no longer safe, because their father was inside. That single detail tells you everything you need to know about what those minutes felt like for the kids who were still alive. It was not confusion, it was terror. Raw, desperate terror. And the person they were running from was supposed to be the one person in the world they could always run to. The whole thing was captured, partially, on a Ring doorbell camera. Footage showed Shamar leaving the scene after the attacks, running, like someone who knew exactly what he had done and was trying to put as much distance between himself and it as possible. But you cannot outrun something like this. Not really. By the time police arrived, the scene was unlike anything the department had ever responded to. We are not just saying that for effect. The chief of police said it himself. Officers, coroners, first responders, people who had spent careers showing up to the worst moments of other people's lives, were not prepared for what they found that morning. Multiple crime scenes, multiple deceased children, a mother in critical condition, another woman fighting for her life, and a suspect already on the run. Period. Shreveport had never had a morning like this one. Law enforcement moved fast. They had the Ring footage, they had witness accounts, and they had a direction, and because Shamar, after leaving the scene, had carjacked a vehicle in the area close to West 79th and Linwood. So now this was not just a domestic tragedy inside a home. It had spilled out into the streets, and it had become an active manhunt. Shreveport police officers got behind the carjacked vehicle and a chase began. It crossed out of Shreveport and into Beaucier Parish. And during that chase, officers made the decision to open fire. Shamar Elkins was shot. He died from his injuries shortly after. The man who killed 8 children, 7 of them his own, did not make it to a courtroom. He was dead before the sun had fully risen on the city he had just torn apart. Louisiana State Police took over the portion of the investigation involving the officer-involved shooting in Beaucier. Shreveport Police held the rest, and what they were holding was one of the largest and most painful crime scenes the city had ever seen. Police confirmed the suspect, Shamar Elkins, was believed to be the only person who fired shots at any of the locations. There was no second gunman, no outside threat, just him. One man, one morning, 8 children. At the press briefing,
this is nothing but pure evil. We can have 100 new police cars. We can have a brand new, beautiful, multi-million-dollar police substation right up the road. But until we stop this violence, the cycle of violence, like I've said over and over again, we're going to still be standing here, and it's only going to get worse.
And according to police,
the chief addressed the public with the kind of measured words you use when the truth is too heavy to say plainly. Can confirm the suspect in these 8 homicides is Shamar Elkins. He is believed to be the man responsible for this heinous act. I can tell you that 7 of the 8 children that were killed are believed to be his children. We are still working to determine a complete motive and understanding as to why this happened, but it is domestic in nature. The mother of the children was also shot and had very serious injuries, although we are hopeful she will recover. Girl, domestic in nature. That phrase does a lot of heavy lifting for a morning where 8 kids lost their lives. But that is the language law enforcement uses, and it is accurate. This was not random. This was personal. This was a home, a family, turned against itself. The mayor stood beside the chief and could barely hold it together. He quoted the poet John Donne, "No man is an island," and asked the city to pray, not just for the family, for the officers, for the coroners, for the first responders who would carry the images of that scene with them for the rest of their lives. "This is a tragic situation," he said, "maybe the worst tragic situation we have ever had in Shreveport. Investigators worked the scene for hours. Multiple addresses, the 300 block of West 79th Street, Harrison Street, and an adjacent residence where one of the surviving victims had run to after the shooting. Evidence was collected. Statements were taken. A timeline was slowly being built, piece by piece, out of the wreckage of one morning. And through all of it, Shaniqua was in the hospital, alive. But now waking up to a world where most of her children were not. Like, how do you even begin to process that? You survive a gunshot to the face, and the first thing you have to face when you open your eyes is the news that 7 of your kids did not make it. There is no language for that kind of grief. There is no roadmap. There is nothing that prepares a person for that particular kind of loss. The investigation was thorough and it was fast, because in a case like this, most of the answers were not hidden. The evidence was there, the footage was there. The suspect was already dead. What detectives were left to do was not catch a killer. It was document a catastrophe and make sure the community and the officers, the families, the city, and understood exactly what had happened and why. The why was harder. Reports pointed to the crack use, the separation, the divorce request, the ongoing tension. But the truth is, there is no explanation that makes 8 dead children make sense. There is no backstory clean enough to justify what happened in those homes that morning. The investigation could tell you the what and the how. The why is something Shreveport and anyone who follows this case will be sitting with for a long time. There was no arrest, there was no trial, there was no courtroom moment where Shaniqua got to sit across from the man who destroyed her family and watch a jury deliver a verdict. That closure, the kind that takes months, sometimes years, but at least gives survivors a finish line to walk toward, was taken from her too. Shamar Elkins died the same morning he killed those children, shot by Shreveport police officers during the chase into Beausier Parish. So the case, in the legal sense, closed before it ever really opened. And honestly, that is its own kind of painful. Because for families who lose people to violence, the trial is often the only space where the full truth gets spoken out loud, where the details get laid out in front of the public, where someone is held accountable in a way the whole world can see. Shaniqua never got that. The families of those 8 children never got that. What they got instead was a press conference, a police chief reading from notes, a mayor quoting poetry, and a city trying to figure out how to grieve something this size. So what do we do with a story like this? Because it is easy to watch something like this from a distance and say, that was a monster. That was somebody broken beyond repair. That was crack cocaine and demons and a man who was already gone long before that Sunday morning. And maybe some of that is true. But if we stop there, we miss the part that matters. Shaniqua posted about this man for years. She celebrated him publicly. She built a life with him, had children with him, and when things got bad, she tried to leave. She asked for a divorce. She did what people say you are supposed to do, and it almost cost her everything It did cost her 7 of her children. Moving on, and because this is the part of the story that does not get said enough. Leaving is the most dangerous moment in an abusive relationship. Not staying. Leaving. The moment a person decides they are done is often the moment the person who has been controlling them decides things have gone too far. That pattern shows up in case after case after case on this channel. And it showed up here too. 8 children are gone. A woman survived a gunshot to the face only to grieve the kids she could not protect. A community lost its sense of safety on a Sunday morning, and a city that had seen hard days before said, plainly and publicly, that it had never seen anything like this. But hey, the conversation does not end here. It cannot end here. If you're in a situation where the person you love has made you feel like leaving is not an option, please hear this. Your life is worth more than the relationship. Your children's lives are worth more than keeping the peace. There are people and organizations specifically built to help you get out safely. You do not have to figure it out alone. Anyways, to Shaniqua, to the 8 children who were taken that morning, to every family member, every neighbor, every first responder who walked into that scene and carried it home with them. This channel sees you. This story is for you. And to anyone watching who recognized something in this story, something that felt a little too familiar, a little too close to home, please do not wait for things to get worse before you reach out for help, because sometimes, in situations like this one, there is no second chance to make a different choice. I said what I said. This has been Drifting Truth Channel. If this story moved you, share it, because somebody in your circle needs to hear it. Drop a comment below, and we will see you in the next one.